Alright guys, so let's start with our next topic, and that is site-to-site VPN. Okay, so the comment site was on sale at Amazon for $200. You're kidding me, man. $200? No way. Really? Oh man, why didn't you tell me? Okay, for my laptop I'll just grab that. Well, I'll check it out. Chintan says get HDD and keep archive on that will be cheaper. Oh, that's good. That's a good idea. I have in my laptop 1 terabyte drive as well as 500 GB SSD. So for virtual machines, I really need that SSD. So yeah, 2 terabyte SSD, $200. Wow. Well, I missed it. So I'll be on the look for this. Alright guys, so let's get going with the site-to-site VPN, and that is also very interesting, very interesting actually. So, and this is without certificates and with pre-shared keys. So how do we do that? And it's site-to-site as well, and this time it is actually our am I recording? Okay. And the numbers are moving. Yep, I'm recording. Alright, so let's get going, guys. And what is in site-to-site VPN? First of all, what we need to do is this. So some guy, did hard work, and I believe me, I did say thanks to that person. I did that thumbs up there, right, on YouTube. So there were so many site-to-site videos there on YouTube, and also Google groups, and then I don't know, countless groups there, and then Microsoft's own lab, step-by-step lab is there as well. So creating a lab ourselves that actually works here is always a tricky thing. We grab something working from another lab, we get the guidance from Microsoft lab, and then what works for us, we have to go for that, exactly while following all the concepts. So what's happening here is that obviously this is our on-premises, and then there is a router there, and then there is a local network gateway that is created in Azure, and then there is IKEV IPsec connection. So we talked about that previously in the point-to-site VPN as well. Then there is VPN gateway, which normally is inside virtual network gateway, VNG. So we're going to deploy that, and we're going to create obviously a VNet, and inside that VNet will be our subnet, and that subnet is the default subnet. Although we need to create a gateway subnet as well, that's an extra thing that we didn't do before. The gateway subnet has to be created with our default subnet. In this subnet, obviously our virtual machines are living, right? So in our virtual network, this is the whole virtual network, right? This is the whole virtual network, VNet. So we know how to create that, obviously. But when you create a VNet here, and then inside that you create a default subnet, which obviously gets created automatically, but you have to create a gateway subnet as well, because now you're accepting traffic from on-premises, and it's a site-to-site VPN. So for that you need to create not only the gateway subnet, but you need to also create a local network gateway. So all these tools will be coming our way, and we're going to talk in detail about that as well. Why are we putting local network gateway, and what does it do? But to understand what it does do, in fact, there are some other gateways that are not mentioned here. Well, one more. But the thing is that you will have multiple gateways here. I've also obviously created that full screenshots of the whole lab. So there are those steps there: create a resource group, create a VNet, then create a local network gateway. Now, create a local network gateway. What is that for? Local network gateway simply does one thing: keeps the information of on premises network. It is created in Azure, on Azure side, we can say, but it gives just so it gives our VPN gateway full information about our on-premises network IP range. So pretty much what it gives is one more is it provides the public IP and the private public IP of obviously of the branch, of the site branch, and private IP of behind that, private IP behind that public IP. So suppose you have a public IP given to your DSL router, and behind that the private IP is 192.168.2. So 192.168.2, then or 200 maybe. So this means that you have to give that define that range in the local network. So local network gateway will keep the information of the public IP of your branch and the private IP. So that's one thing that local network gateway do, and we're going to define that. If I go back to those, so Azure public IP, we need a public IP obviously because we need to connect to the VPN. So if we want to connect to the VPN, obviously we need to give VPN a public IP. So we're going to give that. Virtual network gateway, remember that we created that before as well for point to site. So obviously for site to site, why we're creating virtual network gateway? Obviously it has VPN, right? So it has VPN, and for that obviously we need to create that virtual network gateway, and then obviously the protocols that we selected last time were ICAV, IPsec. IPsec is definitely very secure protocol, and it checks all types of possible hacker attacks hidden behind a connection. So hacker configurations. We're gonna select the protocol, then we're gonna create a VM as well. You can create VM when you create a VNet or after that, up to you. Then we're gonna go for configure on premises RRS. Anyone ever heard of that before? What is RRS? Ever heard of that before? I'm sure some of us may have heard that. And that is Windows, obviously, RRAS. So Windows Server 2016 RRAS. So well, that's a very good answer. Anyone else? Actually, nobody said anything. So copy meeting link. I forgot to always put that. So anyone knows what is RRAS? You know, I asked that question because I needed a coffee sip. Otherwise, oh, sorry. No, I actually genuinely wanted to ask that question. Yes, so it's routing and remote access services so it's routing and remote access services in Windows. Exactly. There you go. So that is, it serves as a router, exactly, routing remote access, right? So definitely, as you said, now add static route to send traffic to Azure. So we're going to just tell our RRAS that, hey RRAS, we're going to be sending traffic from here to 10 networks. So I'll be creating all the diagrams there, but these are the steps that we're going to be following. So test VPN from on-premises to Azure, then we're going to go ahead and test that VPN, site-to-site VPN, that is, from our on-premises. So obviously for this lab, site-to-site VPN, we would need our on-premises. So in VMware Workstation, I have Windows Server 2016 here, and that doesn't have to be a domain controller. So in fact, I have one that is not a domain controller. It's just a simple member server, and I'm going to install the RRAS, routing and remote access role inside in Windows Server 2016, right? And then through that I will then accept the we can send receive. We can send receive VPN connections between branches. So we can configure it in such a way that it's gonna expect and accept VPN connections, continuous VPN, persistent VPN connection from another branch. So for all those features are normally inside RAS, routing and remote access services in Windows Server 2016. Obviously, in your branch, suppose you're connecting, you would have Fortinet, maybe you will have Cisco. So in that case, you would have non-Windows routers. This is for small branch where they didn't purchase any other vendors, and they have already a Windows server. So Winamp says in real branch, this would be configured on a Cisco firewall or like Palo Alto. Exactly. So there it would be configured like Aziz, but on those devices. And here, yes, what we're going for is Windows 2016 RRAS. So and that's all. So what is our objective? Our objective is that after configuration, we should have a persistent connection from this home through all these connectivity and to this machine and that machine must whose IP would be 10.0.0.4. So obviously it's going to be a private IP, but we're going to have persistent connection from here to there, and we're going to actually RDP from a private IP. This machine's IP would be 192.168. In my case, I'm going to grab an IP from my DSL router here. So it's going to be 2 and then maybe 50 or 40 or whatever, right? 2 dot something. So in this IP range, my this is also local IP obviously, and 192.168, right? So from this local IP, I'm gonna go to this private IP from this private IP, right? And this is inside my laptop. And this is a routing and remote access server, so it's going to be a persistent site-to-site connection. And for site-to-site connection, you need to create a gateway subnet. Separately, you need to create a local network gateway that gives Azure all information about the on-premises network, and you need to create, obviously, for VPN gateway, you need to create virtual network gateway. So we're going to be step by step going through all this and discussing about whichever gateway we're trying to start, what is the purpose of that gateway, why are we configuring that. So we're going to go through all that. So let's go ahead and try to check out what we need to do. Before that, that's it. Before that, I'm gonna go here to resource groups, and you're going to ignore what I'm doing, and you can just look up at the roof of your room, or look, bird up there. Yeah, there. Okay, go keep looking at that while I'm deleting my test site. Okay, so that's gonna I'll get rid of everything here, and the latest we test, the better. Because if I had tested something 1 year ago or 6 months ago or 4 months ago, cloud changes like crazy. It changes crazy, right? So that's why I'm just deleting that. Okay, so Chintan says here main key role is local network gateway to connect on-premise to Azure. Yes. So if you compare from point to site with site to site, yes, you're right that it is this local network gateway that is. So the extra things, 2 things are this time for site to site is the gateway subnet with your actual subnet and the local network gateway that will just tell all the information about the other branch. So, and this time it's for AWS we went for online to online. Here we're going actually from on-premises, real on-premises to online, but it's a Windows device, and it could be any other VPN device as well. Okay, so definitely, as you said, exactly that it is local network gateway we need to define, and gateway subnet we need to define. All right, so that is something Okay, so Chintan says if we had to do AWS to Azure side to side, then how it works? Chintan, you're giving me a lot of challenges. I would love to do that, but we need to cover the all the other topics of AZ104, and then we already have Google Cloud challenge, and then we have Oracle Cloud. Yeah, so you want to, we can exchange the labs. Like I can just skip one of the Oracle labs and go with this. Yes, that can happen. Uh, that is the task for all. Okay, so you want actually this be given as a challenge to you, to all the students as a group. Okay, that's good. Wow. Otherwise, I would really love to spend a couple of hours t-shooting everything and going researching and removing all the errors, and it really takes a lot of time. But then once the lab is ready, wow, that feeling. Okay, okay, guys, this is good, and we actually need to start that. But before that, then let's just take a 10-minute break. Guys, if anyone wants to follow like real quick and not to slow me down, then what you need is just a Windows Server 2016 with internet connection. Basically, we give it bridge connection. So just do that, and let's come back in 10 minutes. So class starts in 10 minutes. Class starts. Okay, so it's 6:34. We start. Alright, so what do we need to do here is that we're gonna try to create or configure all these steps. So these are all the steps that I'll put in the chat, and also in the WhatsApp. So let us try and then go ahead with the creation of all these resources, and then step by step. So I have obviously created screenshots as well as details in this document. So obviously I'll note that. So what we need to do exactly, the first thing is to create a VNet. First we create a VNet, and then we create a subnet inside. So the VNet would be VNet dash S2S dash VPN. We can just give it a meaningful name, and it should have I'll go for that. If that range is not available, then I'll go for the other range where it is available. So for now, obviously we're going for this. So that's the VNet we're going to create, and then we're going to go for subnet. So it's going to be subnet here. So for that, so default subnet, and that is 10.0.0.0/24, and also we will be actually creating gateway subnet, because that is important if you want to have persistent side-to-side connections. So you need to attach that gateway subnet to this VNet, and that's going to be 10.0.1.0/24. And once these guys are created, then obviously we will go for virtual machine creation, and that would be our so it's going to be VM with private IP. So VM S2S, or just your first name VM01, and obviously it's gonna have private, if all the above IP ranges are there, so that normally it gets a private IP of 10.0.0.4. So we need to reach that from our on-premises machine while we connect a side-to-side VPN connection. So yeah, so let's reach that, and then one by one create all the other components and try to understand what's going on. So that's obviously the basic setup there. Now obviously when you go to a job, or if you get a new contract there or a project there, so your boss might want to say that hey, can you create these things, these resources with Terraform or Azure DevOps or any other automation tool. So I'm just trying to give some ground reality there, that just knowing how to create the resources is kind of not enough. Normally what happens is many companies actually create test environments. Then when they've tested everything, they don't want that environment anymore there, but they do want the code there, that whenever next time we need the environment, we'll just run that code. Why do they not want the test environment to stay like that? Because obviously they're gonna have to pay for that, right? So suppose they're not testing anything, and why should they have those machines up and running? So that's just a reality touch, that can these be created with Terraform or any other automation tool, right? Just this, but normally it's a bigger network. Like the requirements actually go for, if you have 2 domain controllers, 3 database servers, and 2 file servers, and they are connected, and 2 subnets there, 1 VNet. So can you create a automation code created tool or code? There should be a code for from any automation tool that you can just save it, and it always works whenever you want to deploy this kind of setup. Or maybe you would have to create 2 or 3 types of setups there and save it as a code. Anyway, so apart from the reality touch, I'll just go back and let's just create that quickly. So I'm left with this network watcher, so I'll just quickly go for that and get it deleted. While it's deleting, I'll just go click home button here. So this is our environment there, and I'll go to portal menu, and obviously we're going to create a resource group, and we are creating a VNet. So let's just go down directly to the VNet here, and it's going to create our 2 subnets, or 1 subnet during the wizard and the other subnet after the wizard is done. So I'm just going to go ahead virtual networks here and click the add button here to create a virtual network. So the resource group, let's click that create new here for the resource group, and then we can go for RG 23Oct2020, and that is -S to S, well, that's the topic, side to side, S to S VPN. Okay, so I'm gonna press OK after typing this name, and then name here, and we're gonna go for this VNet-S to S-VPN. So whatever we put there, it's gonna be ending with S to S-VPN. So that all written, I'm just gonna click IP addresses now. And in IP addresses, I get the range 10.0.0.16, which is okay, and the default subnet is 10.0.0.0/24, which is also O and K. So nothing to change here. Gateway subnet cannot be created now. Gateway subnet has to be created once the proper VNet and our default subnet is created. So I'll just go ahead and click the security as our selection. Oh, thank you, Chintan. So that's the third time I'm forgetting this. Oh man, I'm growing old now. Okay, I should not cough nowadays. People will be scared. Okay, so anyway, thank you for reminding that, and I selected that and clicked security, and then Bastion host. Now this is it's a kind of practice now that we can just quickly create that. Now one more thing that we need to know about Bastion host is that not only that we can connect to private IP based machines from within the browser. Second thing is the Bastion host itself. If you configure that and it exists with your VNet, it eats up a lot of cache. It's not like a lot of cache, but it does eat up cache as well. So if you're having 3 or 4 VNets and every VNet has a Bastion host as well, so expect a bit more higher charges, right? It's not like in thousands, but it's a bit more higher charges. Okay, anyway, I'll just go for Bastion host here as what we create there. So we would have a habit of creating that, but in production environment, you would want to know, if the price is okay. So 10.0.1.0 slash okay. So you know what? I was planning the 1.04 as per the diagram. 1.04 the other gateway subnet. So I'll stick to the diagram. So here I'm just gonna give the Bastion host 2.0 slash 24. So once that is there, then it will say that hey, you need to create a public IP for Bastion host. So I'm gonna click the create new public IP. We know that, and we've already gone for that. So bh Bastion host s2s dash VPN, right? So Bastion host s2s VPN. You can give any name. So as we know that we can configure Bastion host here, we did that. Distributed denial of service attack and firewall, we can skip that and click tags. So in the tags, try to have a habit of putting some useful information there. So it's VNet created for S2S VPN. Okay. Let's go here, review plus create and 8, and then let's click create. Oh yeah. Well, what we also know that if you add Bastion host, it takes time for creation. So it was not Scarborough after all; it was the Bastion host that was taking all the time. Okay, so while it is getting created, so I'm gonna go back to the diagram here, and so I didn't add that, but I should. It's the Bastion host. So it's a Bastion subnet. Why am I saying host? Bastion subnet. In fact, I wrote there BS. BH. It's BS actually, and it's not that BS that we know as a slur. It's the Bastion subnet. So that is also 10.0.2.0 slash 24. So that's how it looks like now. Well, we still have to create that gateway subnet, and then after that, it's gonna look like that. Okay, that's one. It's it's just in progress or under construction. I was gonna say that. Okay, and deployment in progress. So while it is deployment in progress, we can talk about the rest of the steps there. So resource group created, Azure VNet, and the subnets also got created there. 4.0 selection 4.0. Okay, selection is different. 4.0 is different. 4.0 is that some kind of 007 code that that you could just secretly tell me safe. Oh, 4.0. So that's Bastion. Is that $4 per hour you're talking about, or no? Okay. Oh, that's 4.0. I gave actually no. Now I get it. Sorry. No, didn't I give? No, I gave 2.0. I didn't give 4. Yeah, the IP. Yeah, it's. Oh yeah, it was actually 2. Yeah, so 012. Okay, we choose default subnet. Usman says, yeah, we chose the default subnet and we selected it. Yes. Oh, you're not talking about the selection as well. Yes, I did that, and thank you for reminding, and Chintan reminded that too. So, okay, guys. So this is created for now, and well, it's getting created. So while it is creating,
I
yeah,
just want to know, have we created gateway subnet? Like,
nope,
had we add any subnet?
nope.
Okay.
We can't do that during the visit, so we're just waiting for it to be created. After that, we will do that.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so here, local network gateway, this is the second thing after gateway. So, well, oh, hey, step 1, then step 3, then step 3. Wow, serious. Step 2. And step 2 has actually additions here that there is a default subnet. There is a gate. Now these are the requirement, gateway subnet obviously, but Bastion subnet is not a requirement. But we created a Bastion subnet as well. But Bastion subnet itself, now not a requirement. And the others are, so that's required, right? Okay, so once that is done, Bastion address, yes, it is 2.0. Oh, let me just show you the diagram as well. So that is 2.0, yeah, 2.0/24. All right, yeah, you got it. So, and well, I'll check it out if that is done. That does take, oh, it's done. Yay. So let us go ahead and try to, so Chitan says gateway subnet should be under the range of VNet subnet. Yes, it has to be within that IP range, exactly. Just like any other subnet that we're about to create there. So, okay, and I'll just go down here, and first of all, yeah, we created. So about the gateway subnet that we created, the virtual network gateway uses specific subnet called the gateway subnet. The gateway subnet is part of the virtual network IP address range that you specify, or VNet IP range that you specify when configuring your virtual network. It contains the IP addresses that the virtual network gateway resources and services use. So VNG is still an upcoming, but virtual network gateway, we all know, contains what? The VPN gateway. So virtual network gateway will use this gateway subnet and try to communicate with the traffic between the on-premises and the Azure cloud. So this is for site-to-site VPN. You need to have a gateway subnet there. Okay, so if now, since it is created, I'm going to go inside the VNet, and I will be creating a gateway subnet. Well, once the VNet is created, and it is created, so let's go ahead and that's it. So I'm just going to go to the portal menu and go to the virtual networks here. So once we are inside the virtual networks, so there we have VNet and S2S VPN. So, well, that's a VNet. I'm just going to go inside the VNet here, and I'm going to go to sub and nets, subnets. So once we go to the subnets, well, the Boston whole subnet is there and the default subnet. I'm just going to go for gateway subnet. This is important for only S to S, side to side VPN. So I'm just going to click that gateway subnet. This is also pretty straightforward. It's just a design requirement by Azure to have it available because it's needed if you want to go for side to side network. And virtual network gateway we're about to create for VPN will need to communicate with this gateway subnet to communicate with the virtual machine that is in our VNet default subnet. So gateway subnet will let us communicate with that machine in Azure to outside machines in on-premises. Okay, so it grabbed automatically an IP range. This is what we were planning as well. So 10.0.10/24, and that's it. So gateway subnet is already the name. It's not going to let you change the name, so it has to be this exact name. Just like with Bastion subnet, that has to be exact that name as per the documentation. So this is also, they're not gonna let you change that. So route table and service endpoints and subnet delegation, we don't need all that. So it's the IP range that we wanted to give, and that is 10.0.1.24. Okay, so Manab says, aren't we using this 10.0.40 as per diagram? Hey, where did I mention 4? So Seth and Milab both were confused, I guess. So it is 2 I use. I never use 4. So yeah, it's 2, right? So, well, you can use 4 as well. It just doesn't matter as long as it's not being used before. Yeah, we can use 4 as well. But I didn't use that, so it's 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and oh, serious. Yeah, I was saying 2 for Bastion host. For gateway subnet, it is 1. Sorry, it's 1. Okay, so it's 1 here according to the diagram, and I'm just gonna press OK. Yay! Or yay. So gateway subnet got created right away, and so again, Bastion subnet is not a requirement. It's just best practice. You don't want to create that, don't create it. It's gonna still work. But the gateway subnet is a requirement for side-to-side VPN, and it's not a requirement for point-to-side VPN, which we already did a lab. But side-to-side VPN, yes, it's a requirement. Okay, so that said, let's go back to our, okay, we created the gateway subnet. And I'm just going through the screenshots of mine here. So create local network gateway. Okay, so as far as our Azure side and subnet side configurations are concerned, so those are done. So we have a default subnet. Why? Because we need to put virtual machines inside. Obviously, we created a Bastion subnet. Why? Because this machine is a private IP, has a private IP, and we need to connect to this machine from our host. So this will help Bastion subnet if we had to connect to this machine, and a gateway subnet for our communication with the VNG, which is virtual network gateway, which we're about to deploy for VPN. So all that is set up here. Now we need to create a local network gateway. So what is that? We talked about that before as well. So local network gateway. So it's going to talk about the local networks. I'm just going to drag it a little outside here, although it's going to be still created in Azure. And the only purpose of this is to collect information about our on-premises network and keep it there. And when it collects that information, it's not going to collect, we're going to give it, and then it's going to give it to the next gateway, which we're about to create, which haven't been created yet, and that is virtual network gateway. And this will have our VPN gateway, right? Virtual network gateway. So virtual network gateway will have a VPN gateway that has Azure side of information. So the VPN gateway has, I can say here, Azure side of VPN IP or network information. network information, and so I'll just put an arrow here for VPN gateway, and this, it will have client side. So this is on premises side of network information. So virtual network gateway will have two gateways available for it. Local network gateway will connect to virtual network gateway, and VPN gateway will connect to virtual network gateway, and it will know that, okay, so I'm connecting from here, with whose IP address information is this, to this on premises whose IP addresses are these. Okay, right? So now before actually we go ahead, obviously if you're about to create a local network gateway, so it will require two pieces of information, and that is public IP of DSL router or branch, and private IP range of branch machines, right? So it's gonna need two types of information there. So obviously for that we need to now go towards our on-premises setup and set it up. So public IP of branch, it will be just a public IP and private IP range of a branch. I'm gonna just tell now how we can configure that. So if we need that information, obviously we need to go there, configure that stuff, and then come back here to configure the local network gateway, because it needs to be given that information, right? So for that, I need to open the VMware workstation now and start my machine, Windows Server 2016 virtual machine. So this is the information we need right now, and we need to configure first of all local network gateway. Before that, now let's get down to our private or on-premises environment. So this on-premises environment, for now, we will have here one machine, and that machine is Windows Server 2016. Windows Server 2016, and we're gonna install a role that is RRAS, Routing and Remote Access Services, and also it needs, and it must have internet as well. So these are three things. Now it could be a domain controller or it could be a member server as well. So either normally when you install a RRAS, it's supposed to be a member server. It's not supposed to be a domain controller, right? Either a member server, better a member server, that's what I would say, or DC. But now if some of us are actually doing it on DC, I think it's not going to create any problem as far as our configurations are concerned. I think it's gonna work, but better have a member server joined to the domain. Right now, I don't have a member server that is even joined to the domain, right? Because what I'm concerned is all that RRAS should get installed and then connected there. So if it's joined to the domain, it's okay. If it's not joined to the domain, it's still gonna work, right? So both ways, this configuration is same. So let's go down to our on-premises environment and configure that. So on-premises configuration. Okay, so I'm gonna go down here to the VMware workstation or VMware workstation. So I'll just go down to this VMware workstation. Okay, so once there is a VMware workstation opened, so well, yeah, I just created a machine out of a template machine. I had a template machine from other labs or other classes, other courses, other colleges. So this is a Windows Server 2016 machine that is just a member server, or it's just a standalone Windows Server 2016 with no configuration. In fact, there is some configuration, and I took a snapshot when there was nothing configured. So I'm going to go back to that snapshot where there's nothing configured yet. I actually mentioned that there. I'll click go to and go back to the snapshot where nothing was configured. Otherwise, if I did not go back to this previous snapshot, there was RRAS already installed inside this machine. So then I need to have another machine that has nothing configured. Okay, so this machine is, I went back to that, and at that time when I took a snapshot, it was started. So the machine is started right now. And I'm logged in. So first of all, if I go to the local server, it's not, I didn't even rename that. It's not joined to the domain, so it's part of the work group. And obviously, if you don't see AD and DNS here, so obviously you won't see it here as well. In tools, there is no Active Directory link there, no DNS, no DHCP whatsoever. So this is a purely standalone, non-configured virtual machine. What I need to make sure is, in a VMware workstation environment, in our test environment, that I need to give it internet connection. And it has to be from, so I'm just going to go to the top of this machine. I'm going to right click here and go down to settings. Why? Because here, okay. Oh yeah, now it appears. Here, it's configured on NAT. So network address translation, which means that it's hidden behind a public IP, and it's just a private IP. Normally, when it's NAT, there is a DHCP inside this VMware workstation, and that DHCP provides an IP to this virtual machine, right? So we do not want an IP from a VMware workstation DHCP. We want an IP from directly our DSL router, right? So NAT doesn't give us that. Bridge gives us that. So I'm going to change that to bridge, and also I'll click replicate physical network connection state. If you don't click it, still it's okay. Or if suppose your physical network, which is your home physical network or your branch physical network, IP range changes, so it's gonna simply grab that new information as well. So I'm gonna click it bridge, so it could grab an IP from directly from my DSL router, right? Oh, so Milab said, is it okay if it is bridged? It has to be bridged right now. Why? Because the local network gateway in Azure needs clear IP range information. That's gonna be, so it's better to have that from our local DSL router directly given to our virtual machine. All right, so I'm gonna put it on bridge and press O and K. But I need to know what is the IP range of my DSL router and what IP I got. So I did change it to bridge. The blue bar comes up that, hey, your PC, you want this PC to be discovered in your local network. I'll say yes. Okay, it's discoverable. And second thing is, I need to know what is the IP range, or what is the IP I got plus the IP range, obviously. So I'm just gonna click Ethernet 0. I'm gonna click that. I'll go for Ethernet 0. I just need to know the details in the Ethernet 0 status. So I'm going to click the details here. And what I got is 2.52. So first of all, this means that I got, my IP range is 192.168.2.0. That's my IP range, 192.168.2. So this is one thing I need to know. In fact, you know what? I need to put that in my notepad. So local, okay, on-prem. So that's for me, obviously not for you. Your IP range would be different, right? Could be same as well. So I have Bell. So those who have Bell DSL router may have that same range, and others might have different. So on-prem IP range in my case is 192.168.2.0/24. So this is my IP range, right? And my public IP. So I just need to get that too. So I'll simply go to the browser and go to what is my IP. and I'll go to, what is my IP address, and that is this. So this current public IP we need if we want to connect site-to-site VPN, right? So you need your public IP there. So I'm just gonna go down here because this is the information we need to put in, give to the local network gateway. So it's public IP, on-prem public IP, right? So on-prem. So your branch public IP will not change, but it's always static for commercial use. But for residences, it changes, right? For some residences, it changes after a long time. For some, it changes within few days, some few hours. Well, few days. Okay, so these two IP ranges I needed right now. One public IP and one private IP range. So this better be correct if you want this lab to work. Okay, so this information I gathered for my local network. What else I need to do? For now, that's what I wanted to know, because yes, we will be installing RRAS, but later we can install that later as well. Right now, we need to know this IP range and public IP. Yep. So Usman says, do we have internet after selecting bridge? Oh yes, when we select bridge, it is to get internet connection. So we must have internet. Okay, I'll check that if Trump is there. Oh, true is there. So yeah, bridge is to get, but bridge also means that you are, your virtual machine is directly exposed to your physical network. Bridge means your virtual machine is directly exposed to your physical network. While NAT means that your machine is still behind the VMware workstation IP range, but it still gets internet connection. So anyway, I wanted my machine to be exposed to my physical network of my home. We all need that actually. Okay, so yep. Because I don't have internet after selecting bridge. Ouch. Okay, that's a big ouch. So you can just change that back to NAT and try to check what your IP is and hope it works. I didn't check with NAT. It may work. But I checked with bridge, and that's what I'm going for. It should be a clear IP range. But obviously, we must have internet connection. So you can restart the whole laptop and then do that. But try to T-shoot that with bridge, you must have internet connection. Oh yeah, one more thing, Usman. Do you have two network cards here or one network card? Because the first network card, if you're talking about the domain controller and you have that PC or that server, so that first network card has a static IP. So add a second network card and put that on bridge. Add a second network card and put that on bridge. The first network card is a static IP. Yeah.
I think I got a mistake. Yeah, I put on I put on bridge on the I put second network card on bridge actually before. I'll try to put first network card on bridge now.
Whichever network card has a static IP, you will not get connected to internet with that network card. So just make sure whichever network card you connect to bridge does not have a static IP, basically.
Okay, got it.
Cool. Alright guys, so in my case it's a standalone machine, that's why the only network card here does not have a static IP. So that's why I'm connected to internet. So that done, this information I wanted, I got it. I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with creating a local network gateway. So for that, I'm gonna go to my Azure, and I'll go. So now, guys, this is a virtual network, right? So this window, if in case you don't want to lose, so I'll just go for right click here and duplicate. So that VNet window is there, although you can just go here and do whatever you want. So here I have a duplicate window, and I'm gonna go to search, right? When I go to search, I'll write in the search local network. Okay, local network, right? And it says local network gateway. Oh, you want to create a local network gateway. So where it's a separate service here, obviously. So I'm just gonna click yes, I want to create a local network gateway. So there you go, local network gateway is available, and by going to search, and then I'm gonna click the add button in the local network gateway. So we just need to name it something. So it's a local ng dash s to s dash VPN. Local network gateway. Hey, why ng? Why not just the whole name? Gateway. Local network gateway. S1S. Wow. It's site to site VPN. Okay. So, well, that is pretty much, no, that's not pretty much it. So, first of all, endpoint. Endpoint is the other side, the on-premises. On the on-premises, are you giving IP address information here, or are you going to give fully qualified domain name information? If I click the FQDN, then it's asking that, do you have some device you want to connect to with its FQDN or fully qualified domain name? You know what's a fully qualified domain name? It's the name of the server and the name of the domain it's joined to. But we're going to go for IP address base, so that's a better connection, better way to connect. So in IP address, obviously, this is asking for our public IP. So I'm just going to put my DSL router public IP. That's going to change maybe, very soon, but hopefully not for the duration of the lab. So that IP I already put aside in my notepad, so I'm just going to grab that now and give it to my local network gateway. Paste. Now it is saying, hey, okay, that's the public IP, but what's the private IP range behind that with which your machines are connected? So that private IP range I also put aside in my notepad, so I'm just gonna give it that IP range as well. Obviously, again and again, it has to be the correct range, and whatever your machine has, just put that IP range here now. So it has to be /24. So whatever the 3 octets have, then just put .0 after that and /24. So that's the acceptable information it needs. So guys, this is the local network gateway information. So if we go back to the diagram, local network gateway got what it needed. The public IP of a branch, off branch, and private IP range of the branch machines. So that's the information it needed here. Okay, Malab says once LNG is created, can it be edited to make changes? Well, can you edit it right now? Because it's all about if options. I need to check that too. It should be able to let you, yes. IP ranges you can change, yes. It should. But once I create, I will also check that. I'm sure you will be able to check that easily, because I had to change that range later. So that's how I know that. Yeah, address space I had to change that afterwards. Right, guys. So here, BGP settings. No, we're not going for dynamic protocols, border gateway protocols. So that's why we're gonna go free trial. And Chandan says, can we add multiple IP for private IP? Yes, we can add multiple private IP ranges there as well. So I could add 192.168.2 and then 192.168.3, 192.168.4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even 13, 14, 15 ranges I can add here, and it's gonna work for all those. Okay, so here, free trial, yes, and resource group. Obviously, we're gonna place that in our today's resource group, and so that's it for the local network gateway. So that's the information it's going to give to our VNG virtual network gateway that has the VPN. So on-premises side of information has been collected. Just make sure it's correct and current information. So let's click create now for LNG, and I'll click create and 8.
192.168.2.0 is your local IP?
Yeah, because I went to the virtual machine here, and I went
Yep,
to Ethernet. I went to Ethernet 0 and details.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
All right. So once that is okay, so as far as the local network gateway is concerned, yep, it's created now, and I'll refresh that, and yeah, there you go. So it is created, then I'm going to go for my steps here that I put also in the Cloud 4-in-1. So here, local network, yeah, so these are my screenshots here and lots of arrows there as well. Now, there's a process called create a public IP address. I did add that, but it's not needed, because when you create a, it doesn't have to be, created now, because later, when we're creating a virtual network gateway, so at that time it asks for a public IP as well. So we don't really have to separately create that. So both ways are okay. You can create now a public IP separately, or you can create at that time when you're creating a virtual network gateway for VPN. So I'll skip that, and we're going to go for virtual network gateway. So what is a virtual network gateway? A virtual network gateway is composed of two or more virtual machines that are deployed to a specific subnet you create, called the gateway subnet. So virtual network gateway is going to be deployed into the gateway subnet that we created. So VNG is gonna have full connectivity with the gateway subnet. And gateway subnet, we already know, is connected. This guy is connected to this VNet gateway subnet, and this guy is gonna also be connected to the virtual network gateway. And virtual network gateway has information about the VPN gateway, or the Azure side of virtual private network, and the local network side, or the on-premises side of the whole network. It has information about all this, and also it is now connected to the gateway subnet. So that's how everything else is connected. This VNet through gateway subnet is connected to the virtual network gateway, inside which we're going to configure VPN gateway, and we already configured local network gateway, right? So that's how they're all interconnected. So okay, so Mlab says if the VNet for the VPN was standalone and peered to another VNet for VMs, this would still work. Yeah, peering, we already know that the rule of thumb there is, the fixed rule is that if there's VNet peering, any one VNet can have a connectivity with VPN gateway. So the other peered VNet cannot have then the VPN gateway. So yeah, we already knew that. So that's a very good point here as well. Okay guys, so let us go ahead and create a virtual network gateway, and so it's going to ask a lot of stuff there, and it's going to say, okay, I'm going to create a VPN gateway for you, but can you give me on-premise information? Oh, thank you, local network gateway. Or also, can you give me what VNet I'm connecting to? Oh, thank you, gateway subnet. So it's going to just do that now. Okay, so virtual network gateway VMs contain routing tables and run specific gateway services. These VMs, now what VMs it is talking about? It's just saying, and we don't have to be really worried about that. So it's just saying about, in the definition, about the, when we install virtual network gateway, we're gonna do click 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 click, finish, it gets installed, right? They are, in the definition, they are saying the virtual network gateway software will be deployed in the background on two virtual machines, right? And they're talking about those two virtual machines which are not accessible by us. So for us, it's just next, finish, and it's just ready. In the background, there will be two virtual machines on top of which virtual network gateway will be installed, right? So that's why don't be confused about those VMs, what VMs it's talking about, right? So when you configure a virtual network gateway, you configure a setting that specifies the gateway type. The gateway type determines how the virtual network gateway will be used and the actions that the gateway takes. So obviously, it's just saying that, hey, when you deploy a virtual network gateway, what type of gateway you're actually deploying. So we're going to say VPN gateway, or you can deploy express route. We talked about that in point to site VPN class as well. So either you can deploy express route, which is a dedicated, expensive, very high bandwidth network connection from your on-premises site to the Azure nearest Azure data centers, or what we're going for is VPN. So we're going to go for the gateway type VPN, and that is introduced by virtual network gateway. All right. So let's deploy that, and I've created that picture. That's exactly the same thing we did in point to site as well. So you're gonna see that very familiar screen and very familiar configurations as well. So let's go for virtual network gateway now, and so local network gateway is done. On that same screen, now I'm gonna go for the virtual network gateway. So I'm going to go to search and I'm going to type virtual network, and there it is. So virtual network says virtual network gateways, right? Okay, virtual network gateways, and then click add. So I'm just going to click the add button. And then in here, name. So obviously it's a virtual network gateway name. So normally I tend to just give the whole name, although it becomes a long name, virtual network gateway, wherever I can give a long name. So it's S2S-VPN lab. But the reason for giving long names is we get right away what it actually was and is getting created. Okay, so that's the name of the virtual network gateway, and then it says, hey, you want to deploy an express route? Well, you must have a very big budget then. Not a very big, but big budget. Or you're going to connect through VPN. So we're going to stick to, obviously, VPN. And VPN type, route-based or policy-based. So again, the type of VPN you can choose depends on the make and model of your VPN device and the kind of VPN connection you intend to create. Choose a route-based gateway if you intend to use point-to-site or inter-virtual network, like you have two VNets, or multiple site-to-site connections. If you're creating a VPN type gateway to coexist with express route, so yeah, we talked about that too already, right? So express route, if you have already and you spend a lot of money on that and you got a lot of bandwidth, and you still want to deploy the VPN there as well, so you can go for policy based. Otherwise, the type we are going for, we need to have multiple site-to-site connections. For that, we're gonna stick to route based. Okay, so then skew is that which gateway you really want. Also, we talked about that, and just to have everything in perspective, so I'm just going to click learn more here. So these are the types that we talked about in last class as well. That there's a generation 1 basic and then VPN GW. So it's all about what services you want, how many features you want there, and how many connections it can scale up to, and how much bandwidth it can support. So the more you want to go ahead with VPN GW5AZ is the final one, the more connections it supports, the more bandwidth it supports, and the more features and more security it supports. So the more money you put there, more features you get. We're gonna stick to in our lab, or not generation basic. We're gonna go for VPN Gateway 1, right? So last time also pointer site we went for VPN GW1. So I'm just gonna go back here, and yep, it's already selected with that. And Gen 1 is the only option there. Gen 2 only comes when you go for some higher and more expensive gateway types with more features. So virtual network, which virtual network you want this virtual network gateway to connect to? So obviously that is our only VNet we have, VNet S2S VPN. We select that, and you can see that already automatically, without giving any more choices, it has connected to gateway subnet. So virtual network gateway is going to directly connect with the gateway subnet that we created. Obviously, if that subnet was not created, you can't then have a point site-to-site VPN connection configured in Azure. So it has to connect to a gateway subnet. So the VPN traffic could go to this VNet and all the machines inside this VNet. Okay, so if we go further down, then public IP. Hey, you want to use an existing public IP, or you want to create a new one? So that's why I was saying that in that step, that we don't have to really, when we were talking about the steps there, we don't have to create that public IP right away here. So Azure, create a public IP. this can be done with VNG creation, during the VNG creation as well. So if you had created already before that, then you can go for existing, otherwise just create new. So I'll stick to create new here and give that IP a name as well. So it's a public IP dash s to s dash VPN. Alright, so public IP, and then we don't need enable active mode. The gateway SKU must be VPN gateway 1, gateway 2, gateway 3, gateway 1AZ, 2AZ, 3AZ, or high performance legacy SKU. So the main thing is that if you go for higher gateway types, then you can go for active mode, which means it will have two connections, two tunnels created there. If one goes down, you will still have connectivity of on-premises to Azure with another one. And BGP for dynamic protocols, we're going to stick to static connection. And so that's it. So from above from top to bottom, that's all we have. And now we're going to go for next tags. This is how exactly we created for point to site as well. So I'm going to go for name here, and I'll just choose VNet created for S2S VPN. So it was already written there, so I just click. You could just write it or you can skip it. So VNet created for S2S VPN is the value, and go for next review plus create. Validation passed. So virtual network gateway, it's the type is VPN, and type is VPN. Okay, so and let's just click the create, right? So I'm just gonna click the create, and that's going to take 30 minutes or 40 minutes. Yay! Okay. It's nothing to do with where I live, Scarborough, right? Okay, so it's gonna take time, and even last time it was like unbelievably slow, or it's not slow, it does take. So VNG actually is being installed on top of two virtual machines in the background that are being handled by Azure itself. It's not. We won't have any access to those virtual machines. So those two virtual machines on which virtual network gateway is installed and configured are being deployed right now inside the gateway subnet of our VNet. So that's why it's going to take time now. So this VNet gateway VMs are being deployed automatically here in the gateway subnet. And so while this is going on, I don't think we can do the next step, although virtual network gateway, so we're going to actually so search for the service called connections, and so we're going to create and configure a service called connection. So if you go to search and type connections there, you will see that it's a separate service called connections, and it will just show and make connections between the two sites, the Azure and the on-premises. So, and it's gonna help you choose the protocols that you want to use as well. So if I go way down to the screenshots, so after creating virtual network gateway, so create a connection here. To connect to connection. Wow, what's wrong with my English? To connect VNG with LNG. So this is a separate service that you need to go to that connects the virtual network gateway to the local network gateway, and that's how Azure gets connected. So if I go back to the diagram here, so this local network gateway and virtual network gateway will be introduced because of that service called connections. So the connections will connect the VNG and LNG. it will also let us select the protocol uh, and also the pre-shared key. So so the connectivity will be done by connections service, and so that is here and that is here. And what protocol will be used, so you can choose whatever protocol you want, and also pre-shared key. So what is pre-shared key here, or anywhere in IT, the same concept is there. Pre-shared key just means that you give a passphrase or a password, and this is known by the by any one site. Suppose you created a pre-shared key in Azure, so when you want this on-premises site to finally make a connection, so the RRAS, this is the role, this is what you need to install as an application. It's not an application, it's a role. So this service in the local Windows Server 2016 needs to make a communication with the VPN here, right? In order to do that, when it wants to make a connection, it will be you need to give that pre-shared key at that time, and whatever pre-shared key you're now creating, so it will be a long password, right? Long tough password. So that same password needs to be put at one place in RRAS for this application to connect to the VPN, right? So this all can be defined in that service called connections. So obviously, if it needs to connect, connections need to connect the VNG with LNG, so we need to still wait for the VNG to be fully created. Okay, that's one thing. The VNG will be created, and obviously we can't do anything much until it until the VNG is created. So is it created for anyone here in GTA? Deployment going on. Okay. So I will still blame Scarborough if anyone completes like halfway while I'm halfway there, and it takes me double time. So otherwise I'll stick to this town. Okay. If I so does it say same connections will help to connect AWS and Azure? Yes, it does. You know, the thing is, between AWS and Azure, either there are workarounds, or they actually made a collaboration, Azure and AWS guys, and they may have created some services that talk to each other. So it could be connections, it could be something else as well. But most probably, yeah, it looks like. Since I didn't do it, so I'm not sure. Okay. Let's configure on-premises virtual machine. Oh yeah, while we're waiting for VNG to be created, how about we install the RRAS, routing and remote access services? Yay! Let's do it. So we can go to the other side now. So I'm just gonna go to my diagram here, and let's deploy this RRAS now. Role. So I'm gonna go down to, while we're waiting for the VNG virtual network gateway to be deployed, we're just configuring the on-premises, and here I'm going to go to the dashboard in that machine and go for add roles and features, and then click next, and then role-based or feature-based installation. So I'm going to click next here as well. So it's some weird name here, I should have renamed it, and the IP range. So this better be correct because we already gave this IP range, the first 3 octets values or digits to the local network gateway. So yes, it is 192.168.2 that I gave there as well. And next. So then I need to go down to this remote access, this one, right? So it has the VPN. So obviously when you're configuring VPN on the Azure side, you need to configure that same VPN connection here on this on-premises side as well. So remote access, I'm going to click that. So it's going to select that without popping up. So once it is selected, I'm going to go for next. Nothing in the features, so click next. But we're going to be talking about role services now. So here, so you can see there is role services available here, and that role services has data access and VPN. So obviously we need to have a VPN, so we're going to select this checkbox, and it just says that whatever features are required will be used there as well. So I'm going to click add features, and then there is routing. And so this routing, we need to select that too, because we need to introduce routing. Now what does that mean? If we go back here, so we need to inform this RRAS that what is the IP range being used in the default subnet where the virtual machine is living. So the IP range there, whatever range is being used, need to be defined here. So we're going to create a static network here, static route here, and that static route will be told that, hey, don't worry, if you're connecting to this 10.0.0.0/24, so this is the range that is being used up there. So it's going to be okay. Please connect to this network. So we're just giving a static route here. We will be giving that static route through the RRAS to tell the on-premises to connect to any machine that belongs to this IP network in Azure. So for that, we need to deploy this routing information. So I'm just going to select that routing as well. And web application proxy normally is used for ADFS or Active Directory Federation services. So we're not using that, and even that is used when you have maybe thousands or hundreds of thousands of users there, and ADFS directly cannot handle them. So then in front of ADFS, you just deploy web application proxy. So I'm going to click next. Here we don't need that, we just need the above two, and I'm going to click next. And that's it. So there's the intros and next. So whatever role services, the web server that's going to be installed for these role services, and whatever features are needed for these are selected. We don't need to change anything here. I'm going to click next. Well, I have a habit of selecting this, so if there was a pending restart, it will restart, otherwise it won't restart. So we leave the decision of restarting to this, and I'm going to press yes. And install. So while it is being installed, okay, it's not done yet. The virtual network gateway is not done. Seriously. So I'll go back here. Anyone else is done? Anyone following? Okay, so the RRAS is deployed. Okay, we need to further configure it. Okay, Chintan says here IAS required for routing. So web server in the background is needed whenever you want to use RRAS within the browser. It's just to open the dashboard of RRAS that the web server is needed or IAS is needed. So what are the other options we can use here other than router appliance? With routing and remote access, so basically it is for two features which are direct access and VPN. That's it. That's all you can do for this. And direct access is a crazy idea that many companies might in future use. That if you configure direct access properly, then your laptop. Suppose you take the laptop home from company. The company will configure with direct access, right? So when you take the laptop home, as soon as you open the lid of the laptop and it starts and you log in, it's connected automatically to your network. So that is direct access. So your laptop is 24/7 connected as long as you're connected to the internet. Your laptop is connected to your company network. So that's what direct access is. While VPN, so yeah, RRAS just offers you VPN and direct access. Cool. And I think Cisco also has that configuration. I don't know the name of that. I don't know, but if you configure that, then your device is 24/7 connected to your company network wherever you are outside of the company. All right. So, well, this is let's go ahead actually, and I'm just gonna click the close button here for RRAS, and I'm gonna go to Tools here, and in the tools you see Remote Access Management, and you also see Routing and Remote Access. So we're not going to go for Remote Access Management, we're going to go for Routing and Remote Access. Routing and Remote Access. So I'm going to click that and this is the Routing and Remote Access interface, and this is obviously red right now, so we actually need to configure it. So I'm just gonna go back and check it out if VNG is created, and it's not. No. Okay. So, oh, it is. Just now. Okay. So it's created now, and so that's good news. I'm just gonna click the Go to Resource, and yep. So we can proceed now with the next steps after the if I go to the configuration inside the virtual network gateway. So there's that, and then under that you can see connections. So that connections can be actually accessed by search, or they can be accessed from here as well within the virtual network gateway. So the link is there, but we can also go for some. Just what I'm going to do is I'm going to put duplicate it just to check it out. I'm sure it is the same, but why is it also separately available? Obviously that is not a very big deal. Connection, if I just type here, so connections is a separate service available. So obviously it's not just used in VNG, it can be used with any other application and service connectivity to some any other endpoint or any other destination, right? So wait 1-2 minutes, still running for me. Okay, sure. So if you give me 5 virtual samosas, sure. Okay, good. It's really easy nowadays. It's just virtual samosas. In Humber College, when I was teaching there in before COVID-19, so there's a sweets factory right beside it, very near to it. So I would start doing a campaign with all the 23 or 30 students there, that hey, if you made a mistake, then you will have to bring samosas from, and then I would give the address. So I used to say it so many times that students would say, hey, why don't we just bring that box of 50 samosas there? So then I get to eat all that. So it's a benefits of running a campaign and being funny gets you samosas. That's a moral lesson. Okay, moral lesson. Yeah, that's moral of the lesson. Okay, so yeah, it's the same connections. Oh, okay, sure, deal. We have good samosas in Brampton. Oh man, you're in Brampton. That's the samosa heaven. That's, yeah, that's the region where the best samosas are. Exactly right. So I just got lucky that Scarborough has that Taj Mahal samosas. Otherwise, I didn't like any other place here where samosas are. So, mm, okay. So, yeah, 2-3 minutes, right? Hey, that would be a good time to go for Mississauga is done. So that's a good one. Hey, Brampton is behind now. In fact, Scarborough and Mississauga both are in the lead. And okay, every street has one samosa. You're right. Exactly. Yes, 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 yes. Brampton is Etobicoke is nearby. Mississauga is nearby, so they also have that pandemic of samosa shops there as well. I just said pandemic. No, it's not pandemic. So yeah, but yeah. So this means that Chintan has to move from Brampton because now the internet is so slow. You have to move to either Mississauga or Scarborough, right? Oh, it has mainly Rogers. Even Rogers now, we have to blame Rogers as well, right? So Bell is good, as you can see, the performance. Okay, so yeah, so no, maybe it's a good environment. I mean, like today the weather is good, so maybe your neighbors have party there, and they might be using a lot of internet, and that's why maybe you're not able to see that quickly. Yeah, everyone's streaming Netflix. There you go. Exactly. Hey, something good movie. Okay. So throughout the pandemic, we have just finished Netflix 3 or 4 times, I guess. Uh, Not I. Oh, IPTV. Oh, yeah, yeah. Not too. Long list of movies. All good ones are, seen already. We should be making our own movies now. Okay. Right, and resume. And now we can separately go to connections, but we don't have to because that's the same logo there for connections here as well. Hey, did I resume? Yeah, I did, right? Okay. So I'm going to stick to connections here within the virtual network gateway and click the add button. So now it's going to just tell that let's click the add button inside the virtual network gateway and click the add button. And first you need to name the connection. So connections dash S2S dash VPN. Then connection type. Is it two VNets connecting to each other? Nope. It's the site-to-site IPsec because also we don't have express route, so it's very obvious, that which one we need to select. So site-to-site IPsec is selected. Second thing is virtual network gateway. So obviously our virtual network gateway is there. So I'm just gonna click that, and it's already selected because we're inside virtual network gateway right now. Then it says, hey, do you have a local network gateway? So I'm just gonna select the local network gateway that we already have. It detects that local network gateway, and we can click that. So it gets information about that. Then we can go for PSK, pre-shared key, right? So this pre-shared, it's a shared key, but it says PSK, right? So shared key is what we have already talked about. So if we're giving this to the connections service here, the shared key, so that has that same password that we're about to give here needs to be given there by RRAS for the successful connection. So I'm going to go for small ABC, capital ABC, shape 123, dot shape 123, or whatever password you want to give. So that is the small ABC, ABC, shape 123, right? So here, then we have checking this option allows you to use Azure private IPs to establish an IPsec VPN connection. Support for private IPs must be set on the VPN gateway for this option to work. It is only supported to on Azure SKUs. We don't need to actually click that because, well, if you click that, it's still okay. It's just saying that Azure side of virtual machines, all private IP based virtual machines, will be easily connected with the help of that. But even without that, it connects fine. So that's why. Well, our one machine will connect fine when we have. Suppose you have more subnets created there, and it's more complicated configurations. Then it's okay to click that option. Otherwise, we will be able to connect to our private IP based virtual machine in our specific VNet right now. So enable BGP, we don't need to have dynamic protocols for now configured, and ICAV2 is the protocol that we can select here. IKE protocol used by this connection. If I click learn more here, so traditionally we allowed IKE version 1 connections for basic SKUs only, and allowed IKE v2 connections for all VPN gateways SKUs other than basic SKU. So, well, it just ICAV2 has more features, and it connects to it supports more connections, and has better security features there, the IPsec/IKE policy. So that's why we're going for version 2. Obviously, where would be the certificate option? Well, certificate option will be actually on the other AS side, Rras side. Remember that for point to site as well, we had to configure the certificate on the client side because it was a self-signed certificate. Otherwise, you need to actually purchase that certificate. So that is. But yeah, also we had to put that same certificate information in our VPN as well. So where we put the information of certificate before is where that information is now as well. So once that is done and we're done with our lab, so I can show you that too. But right now we're not waiting for that. So I'm just gonna press OK here. But this OK is not gonna finish it. It's gonna take us to another wizard. Kinda, maybe, I guess. No, I didn't. Oh yeah, I filled all the information already. Okay, my screenshots actually shows me that it took me to the two wizards when I separately went to this connection service. But here it just, that's it. So Chintan says, do we have to select anything on second virtual network gateway? Hey, we have just one VNG. We don't have second. Are you talking about LNG or local network gateway? So if I go back to the diagram here, there's either just the VNG or just the LNG. Just like the local network gateway. Yeah. So I selected local network. So we have created a virtual network gateway. Inside there is a this section called connections, and in the connections, virtual network gateway is already selected by default. So we didn't have to select that, while we had to manually select the local network gateway. That's all, and then press OK and select the protocol. It's so Milab says, did you select the local network gateway? Chintan says not allowing. Not allowing. Why? Why not? Why not? Why not? Did you create the local network gateway successfully? You can actually, Chintan, go to click that duplicate, create another tab, and then just go to search and type at local network gateway and see that if it is even created or not. Maybe at the end, maybe you forgot to press OK or something like that. Okay. Oh. Yeah. I was thinking, hey, what happened to my screen? I was just looking at my cell phone. So here, choose virtual network. Hey, what is this? How come you have two virtual network gateways? Can you go back, Chintan? Yeah. And where's the LNG? First virtual network gateway and second virtual network gateway. What is it? Oh yeah, IP. Okay, you need to select. Yes, there you go. Okay. That's it. So now you're good. Yeah, the rest is okay. address. Okay, so we're good. So it was the selection of the type of connection, and
So there is only IKE2V2. That's it, right? Other than that, anything checkbox,
yes,
like
that's it.
anything.
And
Oh,
did you give the
thank you.
pre-shared key? Shared key?
Uh, yes, I did.
Okay. And we need to remember that because we're going to use that later.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
And okay, so the connections is created, and you can see that, and remember that status here. What is the status? Unknown, right? So once we have configured some of the configurations of the RRAS as well, and once those are correctly configured, so you will say that it's going to turn unknown will turn to not connected, then the not connected will turn to connected once we actually do connect. So right now it's unknown, so it doesn't know its partner or the other side or the on-premises side. So we're going to configure the on-premises side, and then you will see that it's going to turn into not connected. This means it is known now, and it knows the on-premises configurations, and then it's just not connected. So right now unknown, and we're going to check that later as well. If I check my rest of the steps now, so yeah, we created the virtual machine already, we created the VNG, and that's it. So we can do the configuration on the further configuration of the RRAS now. And so that's where we are in RS on-premises side. So till now, if we go to the diagram, we have created the connections as well now, and virtual network gateway inside there, the connections was there. So connections, we told network gateway looking at. So what I wrote here, we chose the protocol, we chose the pre-shared key, we put that and selected both VNG and LNG. Okay, so now let's go down to RAS and try to configure the RAS to make a connection to our VPN. So let's go to the on-premises here and go for these configurations. So these are the screenshots I took. Configure and enable routing and remote access. Then we're going to choose secure connection between two private networks. So we're going to choose that. And then, yes, demand dial is okay and automatically connect until it starts the second wizard. So I'm just going to reach the first wizard here first. So let's go down to our RRAS now. Okay, so I'm going to select here the weird machine name, and I'm just going to right click on top of that machine name, and then click configure and enable routing and remote access. Ready? Just a sec, guys. Okay, so configure and enable routing and remote access, and then click next. So it's just the introduction, right? And here there are many options, but we're going to go for secure connection between two private networks, which means that IPsec has to be involved in this case, and connect this network to a remote network such as a branch office. So that's what we exactly wanted. So I'm just going to click next. So it's the fourth option here. And then it says demand dial. So demand dial connections allow you to route data to remote network. Obviously, that's what we're here for. Do you want to use demand dial connections to access remote networks? Obviously, we want to have demand dial. Just means that whenever you want to dial the connection, then you can connect, and whenever you want to just stop, you can stop and then connect again. So this is supposed to be yes. and click next. So there, IP address assignment. So there's a how do you want IP addresses to be assigned to remote clients? So what we're seeing here is that if there are no static IPs and remote clients want to have an IP, so they can be assigned IP through DHCP. Now, where's that DHCP? DHCP is actually available right now. This device is if we configure a DHCP here locally, which we didn't. We're just connecting two static IP devices. In fact, this IP of this virtual machine was given by my DSL router. So that DSL router, if there's a connection from the other side to this one, and the IP has to be given, so my DSL router will give. Normally, if we connect from here to there, so the IP will be given from their side, from that VNet, where that DHCP is automatically configured there. So I'm just going to click next while clicking it automatically. So this is not all. This is the first phase of the configuration of routing and remote access for two branches to connect to each other. Then once you click finish, it's going to start another wizard, and it's going to go for more specific information how we want to connect from on premises to the other VPN gateway. So I'm going to click finish here and wait for that other wizard to start. So let's go for interface wizard. So I'm just going to click next. Now this is interface wizard. What is interface wizard? Through this interface, we're going to make a connection to our router. So this means that we're about to connect. We're gonna create a configuration that will connect to a NIC, and through that NIC, we're going to connect to the VPN gateway. So this is just saying interface configuration. You're about to see that interface configuration there, and it's gonna connect to one of the NICs. We have just one NIC here, but it's going to exactly create an interface there that you're about to see. So interface name, we can just go for S2S VPN to Azure. Right? You can give any name to that. And click next. So then it says, hey, you want to go for point-to-point over Ethernet or VPN? Obviously, we're here for VPN. So next. Which protocol you want to use? Automatic selection means that suppose the other side has also automatic selection. So wherever they negotiate, PPTP to PPTP, maybe the other side only has L2TP, right? Layer 2 tunneling protocol. So, and here it is automatic. So first, when the other side is connected or this side is trying to connect, so it will negotiate, say, hey, I have PPTP. Do you allow me to connect? Azure side will say, no, I don't. Then it will say, hey, I can connect from L2TP. Suppose it was configured on L2TP there. So it will say, okay, yeah, you can connect with this way. We are accepting this one. Or what we connected there, ICAV. So we can just go for IKE version 2. Which we actually configured there as well. Otherwise, they normally negotiate with, hey, what protocol you support, and whichever protocol is supported on the other side, they just negotiate on that and then make a connection. So ICAV is selected there clearly, and we're going to select here as well and click next. Now here we need to give an IP. Anyone knows what IP we're supposed to give here? Oh, seriously? What happened? Okay. VNG public IP, yes. So public IP of the other side, exactly. So where's that? So remember that we went for create new public IP. So whatever the public IP is needed there. So that would be where? Would it be in the configuration? So if I go to configuration here, it is not there. If I go to connections, no. If I go to properties, actually yeah, there is a public IP here, right? So in the properties of VNG, which is letting you connect to the VPN. So this is the public IP within the properties of virtual network gateway. So I'm just gonna try to copy this, Control C, and so we gave public IPs of both sides to both sides, right? So Control V, and there you go. So this is the public IP of the other side that now RRAS, or routing and remote access service, also know now. So once you have, okay, there should be no space. I'm just gonna remove that space here after copy pasting. So I'm gonna click next, and then it says route IP packets on this interface. Obviously, yes, we want to route IP packets on this interface. So that's okay, and click next. So it also says that, okay, so what else do you want? So what kind of IP range are we talking about here? So it's just asking on the other side, what is the IP range going on right now? So right, so that's what it is asking. So so the IP range there on the other side is 10.0.0, right? So I'll just put that. Guys, give me a second. So yeah, IP range is 10.0.0. So I'm just gonna click the add button here, and we need to tell these guys what is IP range. So I'll go for 10.0.0.0 slash. It's the whole VNet IP range, right? So it's gonna be 255, 255 0.0, and so the metric is it's not 16, right? It's class B. Right? Oh yeah. Okay, you guys also put that. Thank you. So, yeah, it involves the whole range, not the subnet. But yes, we could go for subnet as well, and it's gonna work. So I'm just gonna press OK here, and that's it, right? So I'm just gonna go for next. Suppose you have there 200 subnets, right? So this one range covers all. Or yes, if we can go for a specific 3 subnets there out of 200, yeah, we can go for that too, and keep on adding those. So I'm going to click next here, and so guys, we don't need to give any username, password, credentials here when we are connecting from site to site VPN. So normally it's maybe hundreds of machines there are connecting to hundreds of machines here, or we can actually give, when we are making a connection, we can actually define a username. I don't have a domain here, but if there was a domain and domain administrator, I could put that. If I don't put that here, it still works fine. It just simply connects with IPsec. So this is just an extra security step that we can take as well. I'm going to click next without configuring anything here. And completing the demand dial interface wizard. So it's completing that, and then I'm going to click finito, right? Okay, so it's finished, and it's green here as well. Hopefully it's green on your side as well. And second thing is the network interfaces that we need to go, right? So let's click that network interfaces, and on the network interface you can see that the interface that we created, we actually named it S2S VPN to Azure. So that's the interface name, and it actually appears there. And it has some kind of configurations here. Not connected on Azure. Good. It's disconnected right now, obviously, because we need some more configurations as well. So it's kind of disconnected right now. So that's good. Okay, yeah. How is good? We should be actually disappointed. Hey, why are we not connected? No, just kidding. So yes, it is good that it's not connected, and we still need to do 2 or 3 more critical steps. Otherwise, yes, it's not gonna connect at this stage, right? So now it's raining outside. Cool. All right. So required static route. Hey, yes. There you go. So Chintan said it already. So, but before that, there are some other things. So first of all, let's go to right click on this interface, right? Let's go to the interface itself and go to the properties. So let's go to the interface that we configured and go to the properties. I'm just going to click the properties here. First of all, there are just some small settings and very critical setting there as well. So first of all, let's go to the options here. In the options, you may want to redial multiple times, not just one time and give up. So I'll go for 3 or maybe 5. Go for 5, whatever number of times you want to redial. Suppose it's not redialing successfully the first time, you can change that. Second thing is, which is the most critical one in the security, and that is this pre-shared key, right? So if we click that pre-shared key, and exactly what we put up there in the shared key needs to be put down here as well. So small ABC, capital ABC, chip 123, and without chip 123, right? So without that, obviously we can't have a connection. So now they will know, okay, that's the correct endpoint that is connecting to us to Azure from on premises. So that is configured. So I'm just going to press O and K, right? So that's one thing that we needed to do. And the second thing is, yes, the static route. So if I go to the steps as well, okay, that's going to be too high up. So I'll just go down here for my million screenshots. And testing as well. Okay. And yeah, we just did that. Options, right? And then security. And then, well, no, we're not supposed to connect. It says connected, but we need to give a static route. So before that, even if we can try to connect it, yeah, it can get connected, but can our machines talk to each other? For that, we need to give a static route. But can it directly connect right now? That can happen actually now. So if I right click here, let's right click here and click the connect here. So once you click the connect, it's saying ting here, connecting, and then it says TID. So hopefully you guys are also not ting, you're also TID. So if it is TID, you're good. Yeah, the machines can RDP. For that we need to go for static IP. But if it is connected, does it show up there in virtual network gateway in the connections area, right? So if I go back to the Azure and go to connections, right? So before it was unknown, now it says not connected. So unknown changed to not connected means actually that we're going good. And once we actually make a connection, VPN is not being used right now. There are no packets traveling right now. So that's why it says not connected. So we have to initiate a RDP connection, and some packets will be exchanged. So in that case, then you will see that it's connected, right? So, and we cannot initiate a RDP connection if we haven't created the static route. So let's do that now as well. So static route, we need to go down here. This is a screenshot I'm showing here right now. Static route, new static route. And then we have to tell that static route the same thing, that it is this range here, 10.0.0. And after that, we're gonna make that, once that static route is created, then we can make that, we can connect to that virtual machine, right? With RDP. So let's go for that seemingly final step finale, and or semi-final. We're going to go down to the IPv4 interface and go to the static routes. In the static route, we're just going to tell it, I'm going to right click here and go to new static route, right? I'm going to right click and go to the new static route, and in which interface exactly do you want to give a static route that, hey, you have to exactly only go to this particular network I tell you now. So Obviously, it's the same interface. I'm going to tell it, hey, you have a static route as well. So just connect to this next network machines. Any machine in this network, just connect to this. You're authorized to only connect to this network and no other, right? So metric 256 is okay as well. So that many hops it can take. Use this route to initiate demand dial connection. So this is what we're strictly saying. This is all you get. You only connect to this range and this route. So I'm just gonna press O and K, right? I'm gonna press O and K. Okay, so once that is done, now one thing in the Azure that we should see, and that is the remember that virtual machine network security group. That virtual machine network security group is connected to the virtual machine. The NSG is connected to the virtual machine, but that NSG is not connected to the subnet right now, right? So I'm going to go back here and go to Azure. I'm going to check with that virtual machine, hey virtual machine, your NSG is connected to the subnet as well or not. So I'll just simply create another right click here. I'm going to go duplicate here, right? And once we duplicate, I'm going to go to the virtual machine here. And in that virtual machine that I cannot see right now because, hey, didn't we create a virtual machine here? Did we not? Oh, we didn't, right? I think we created, oh, we didn't actually. Seriously? Okay, let's create a virtual machine. In fact, that would be better than the NSG can be actually connected to. NSG that is only, offering RDP connection. So, okay guys, I'm going to go for add and click virtual machine. Obviously, we need to connect to this virtual machine and we were about to, but the virtual machine was not there. I forgot. So, but even now if we create, it's okay. Resource group is this. So go for virtual machine, click add, and then there is resource group. Then we're going to go for virtual machine name here, and that is, whatever name you want to give. Your first name VM01 dash S to S dash VPN, and then there is US East US here. Availability options are these, and then image. So that's just a common Windows Server 2016 or 2019 machine, whichever you want, right? D2S V3. So very common options. Your first name admin is the username, which you're about to use that from RRAS, right? Because you need to make a connection through RDP. So small ABC WC 123 without ship 123, and then small ABC WC ship 123 and without ship 123. All right. And yes, RDP is okay. In fact, you know what? That NSG needs to be connected to the subnet as well. So I'm just gonna click none here and go to disk. So I gave a name to the machine, and that's it. East US and all the regular options, right? Windows Server 2016, but I click no here for RDP. Then we go for disks. Nothing in the disks, right? Nothing in the disks page. And then we go for networking. So, well, the correct VNet is selected. Correct subnet is selected. The public IP, I don't want to give it public IP address, so I'm just gonna go for private IP address. That's how VPN will be checked, if it can connect to a private IP of a virtual machine through VPN, right? So no public IP here. And then we can actually go for network security group here, advanced, right? And it does say that, okay, I'm going to create a new network security group for you, which is O and K, right? We're just going to, when the virtual machine is created, we're going to check that this network security group is connected to the virtual machine, and it is also connected to the subnet here, this one. So we're going to check that later. So let's click Management, very usual options here that we have been using before as well. Management, nothing in the management here. Let's click advanced. At the bottom there's a generation 2, although gen 1 will also work for this particular lab. And then tags, name, and just give some name here. VM created for S2S lab. Okay, and then review plus create and create, right? Wow. Did I click create? I didn't. What's going on here? I didn't. It's not even starting to create. Why is it confirming so much? Okay, looks like I'm stuck. I don't want to refresh, then I will have to recreate the whole machine again, but that's taking forever as well, which is not a very good sign. So, oh, it's stuck for you as well? Maybe mass Netflix streaming has just started in Scarborough. Okay, so yeah, it looks like that. Hey, can you shut the Netflix off? Okay, I told all my neighbors to not watch that, but yes, you're right. It's our turn now. So, okay, yeah, you're right. But it's happening to you as well, Safe? That's strange. So I'm just going back and I went back. So there you go, starting again. This time I'll go quick. Resource group, VM01, and no infrastructure, Windows Server 2016, D2S, I'll go for DS1, then I'll go back to D2S, maybe it accepts that, yes it does. The first name admin, and small MC, WC ship 123, dot ship 123, and small MC, capital MC ship 123, dot ship 123. Hey, Brandon completed this time. That's not fair, we were going ahead. Oh, so Saf and Ahmed both had this machine stuck. Wow, that's strange. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of within the lab we have regional race going on. So, okay, I'm just gonna go for disks and nothing in the disk, networking. In the networking, correct VNet, correct subnet. I'll just say that don't give it public IP to this machine, so none. And I'm gonna also go for network security group as advanced, and it gets created, and it's gonna have RDP. It better. So then management, and yeah, management's okay. Nothing in the management. Advanced. Just Gen 2 tags. Forget the tags. The new one is stuck as well. Ah, no way. Okay, review plus create. Don't tell me. No. No way. Serious? Oh, no. Scarborough is going ahead. So, Saf, you have to move away from wherever you live, right? So, hey, you didn't tell me where you live. So we could hooray for that area. Richmond Hill. Oh, okay. So north side. Okay, so I'll go for create now. And so parameter is still on the top, and then trophy. Okay, it's working. So yeah, it's slowly we should take down Netflix. We should have some kind of denial of service attack on that when we are doing our labs. So that will clear up a huge traffic there. So east side issue. Okay, so yeah, it's deployment going on now. Oh, come on. Oh, as soon as I said, oh, come on, it's done. So I think those were still in progress. You can also try, oh, come on, right? So yeah, machine is created, and if I click the go to resource, I'll just go for overview, and yes, the 10.0.0.4 private IP has been given. So well, that's it. We just need to create. We need to go for RDP there. I had to do a T-shoot there, a T-shoot, and then finally, what we're looking for is this from our RRAS. So let's make that connection now. So I'm gonna go down here to RDP, and hoping everything goes well. So I'm gonna go right click here, go to run, type MSDSC and press O and K. Then the IP of that VM is 10.0.0.4, and then we can click the okay, it's working. Yay! Hey, safe is already connected, so this means that east side is winning. So okay, 10.0.0.4. Oh yeah, it's asking. Yay! So your first name admin, and then small ABC listed shape 123, and without shape 123 here. I'll press O and K here, and yes, self-signed password, and then we go for 10.0.0.4. So yes, it is working. So that's side-to-side VPN is also good.
Hi Amir, do we need any kind of certificate for it?
Okay, sorry, what?
Do we need any kind of certificates or something? Is this connection secure?
So it is IPsec. It's ICAV plus IPsec, so it is secure. No doubt about the security, but we didn't. There are two ways to connect: pre-shared key or certificates. So both ways we can. But it is when you involve IPsec, it is definitely secure. And VPN, so VPN always is, using IPsec there. So, well, we are inside our Azure machine here, and if we go inside here, I think it's gonna give us the VNet IP as well. Yeah, it's 168.63. Okay, so that's the site to site. Now, that was the site to site VPN, and before that we went for point to site, so we're good. And let's go for the next topic. Yay! Or yay.
Amir, you can do RDP from your local network because you are connecting to your ISP router. So not only from this
Can you?
Windows.
No, we cannot.
So only from this Windows,
Yeah.
the Windows
Without
2016, you
configuring
can
the
do
on-premises,
RDP.
without configuring anything in RRAS, go ahead and try with 10.0.04 from here in local machine. You can't. It's a private IP behind Azure network. How can you connect without VPN connection? So right now, if we disable the VPN connection, then I can try to connect again, right? So I'll disable this, not delete. Hey, can we disable that network? I'll disconnect from here. It's disconnected now. So what I'm expecting is that it should not connect now, right? So it is disconnected, and basically we cannot connect to a private IP like this, right? It has to be connected through some kind of. There you go. We're connected still. Seriously. So I think it's gonna take time to connect. So let me just give it. Now I'm gonna make it a little. Restart it. I'll restart that after disconnecting. But so okay, from this machine, if I shut it down and try to connect from my Windows 10, so can I connect directly to this?
No, but right now you cannot connect because you already disconnected and even you should restart your
Okay,
machine.
then
So
what's
that's
the
the
question?
point.
So yeah, with VPN, yes, we can connect and we should be connected. I thought that you were saying that without even VPN we can connect. So that's what I was trying to.
No, that doesn't make sense. But I mean, when you connect it through VPN, this Windows
Yeah.
2016, then you can connect from your own PC as well, not from this virtual machines, from this.
If my PC is in that network which was in the static route, yes. So I gave that static route of my DSL router. So yes, all my home machines. Yes, I can connect.
Yeah, all your home machines is be connected to the Azure, any VM in the Azure, right?
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, and because I gave my DSL router range there, so I should be connected from any of the machine, not just this. You're right. But yeah, this guy has to be connecting. So yeah, should have understood the question and not have done all this.
Yeah, so actually this Windows 2016 is holding the connections on your on-prem network. So you can from your PC, from your any laptop or any device which are connected to your local network, so can be connected to your Azure to any VM. That's correct. If you have one VM or 100
Oh
VM,
yes.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right?
So
But it's supposed to be in the same range.
we're connecting the whole branch this way. This is a good question, and let me just connect again. And guys, can you also try from if you were not doing it on your Windows 10 or your laptop or desktop, can you try to connect from there as well? Because we did give the whole IP range of our DSL router. If you did give that, can you try to connect from another machine as well? Because that's what we are supposed to do. But just testing it would be also a very good thing. Yeah, remote access is here. I'll just open that and running a remote access, and it's wow. Oh yeah, it is configured. I just need to start the service now. properties. Okay, I'll go oh, it is already started. Interface is disconnected. I'll make that connect here. Yeah.
And another question is you manually disconnected. When it will be disconnected? So only manually connect and disconnect, it will be connected 24 hours?
Otherwise, it will be connected 24 hours. That's side to side should be connected all the time unless we disconnect it. Okay, so Milap says it works from the server but not from my PC. So from server, I made a connection. Let me just redo that to make sure I'm still good. Yes, I'm still good. Okay, so first of all, I'm just gonna check my IP of my PC, my laptop, and so old school. So yeah, it's 2.20. So I gave up there the range 192.168.2. So unless there are some other things stopping me, so I'm going for my laptop based connection, and there I need to connect to my public IP. So what is the public IP of the VPN gateway there? No, I need to actually just connect to that 10.0 machine, right?
Oh yeah, you can just connect to 10.0.4 because you're already doing site to site and the whole network supposed to work.
Supposed to, yes. Hmm.
Well, logically, what you think it that way it makes sense, right? It's supposed to connect
It's supposed
all
to,
the
definitely.
branches.
The whole branch is supposed to connect. That's why I wanted to confirm that, and that's a very, very good question. So first of all, no, it's not connecting. Second thing, can I ping that gateway, that machine whose IP, with the RRAS? Can I ping from here to the RRAS? And RRAS IP is it's supposed to be exposed to this network, so 2.52, and gateway is 2.1, which is the same gateway as my laptop. So 2.52 ping 192.168.2.52. Yep, it pings because they are both on the same network, my laptop as well as this.
Yeah, because it's a bridge, right? So it's picking up from your own ISP DCP.
Yeah. And from there, it should connect. Did we do something else as well here? That I can just start another machine and give it the same IP, and then it will try. 10.0.0 has to be pushed to the main gateway on local LAN. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Because no, but it is already on local LAN. The route for 10.0.0 has to be pushed to the main gateway on local LAN. So RRAS is part of that, but only this machine right now is connecting. Your DSL router, okay, you're talking about the DSL router should have configuration of that. But we did expose this machine to our DSL router, so if one machine can connect from here, why not the second one as well? But yes, this home router thing. Now, if I can connect, if I can just try another machine here, if I start this other machine right away, and it should get an IP and put it on DHCP. So at least within the VMware workstation, does it really work, or is it exactly this particular machine that is supposed to be only working? So I'll just change its IP or settings to also. You're right. Normally, this RRAS should be in the perimeter network in DMZ, and it should be connected to all the branch as well, or it should just let the whole branch also connect to this network. So the really. Let me just start another machine here. You're right, it should be placed on outside network. Okay. Options, advanced, BIOS, but if it gave this error, this means maybe the Windows 360 is not there. I'll go for another machine. Oh, but that has static IP. Okay. Can we add static route local PC to RRAS? Chintan says static route. Then it's route command, and for Windows 10, I don't think it's a possibility. I think there is, but I need to know if the route command can be run in a Windows 10 as well. So you then have to have a proper router behind which all the devices should be, and then it should get that. But RRAS normally does. You have to make some other configuration in the RRAS that should accept other machines or send that connection to other machines as well, and that needs to be checked as well. Although they're part of the same network, but through RRAS, the other machines are supposed to connect. There's a Radius server that gets installed, and Radius server normally handles all that other traffic, right? So yeah, well, this main machine is actually connecting, but other machines in the background, do they connect or not? So that would definitely needs to be checked. But one branch got connected to another one. How do you connect the clients of that branch? That is something that you can also go ahead and test yourself as well. Because if one branch can connect, then how to make the machines in the background. So what I would suggest is that have a domain controller, have two Windows 10 installed, and then have a RRAS joined to the same domain, Windows 10 joined to the same domain. Create that RRAS, and that's it. Then check out that how to connect the other machines as well. I'm just going to check this one machine, and this is actually a domain controller that is not connected to that RRAS, but it should be. If it's on the same network, then it could get that connectivity. But putting that on Windows 10 is kind of a issue. So, or I have to Google it. Obviously, that's another set of tests and hits and trials that we need to do. But it's an endpoint that we get to connect to. But does it go further is yet to be tested as well in our particular environment. Otherwise, you can just use Cisco on your branch, and then it's already all machines are connected and giving. So the gateway of all the machines will already be that Cisco device. So you will automatically get connected anyway. So it's the whole issue is that our
So
network is
that
not.
means two Cisco devices each on each side of the branch, so you can connect them together, and then it
So
will
Cisco
share the
devices
networks.
gateway will be given to the as a will be added as a gateway of other all the virtual machines. So yes, what Milap was saying, that if this could be configured on a with the DSL router, then yes, it will happen, or that every machine behind that will get connected as well. So that's an extra setting that I need to check as well, and that is something. But what we wanted to go for, this is a further scenario with our limited lab. But how do you connect an Azure side to side from Azure side, and how do you configure? So from the branch side, yes, there is too much task to do, many tasks to do. But the main thing is, if you can connect to one machine, then figuring out the rest would be something that we can do in our free time. And yeah, that will be a challenge to you. Yay! Okay. If this machine just lets me confirm this thing, then we're gonna be good. Apply this etc. Otherwise, let's go ahead and then. Oh, seriously? Shut. Okay, there you go. Milap says it, and he tested it as well. So that's very good, Milap. And there is narrowing in local PC, exactly. So it's required routing to identify a remote network. There you go. So thank you, Milap, for saying that or confirming that. And you had access to your DSL router, and then you added that range of 10.0.0 there as well as a static route within your router. And then you were able. Then all the machines are now okay, right? So yes, there is netting going on, even though there's bridge connection there, but I just wanted to check with the bridge connection, which I'm not able to check here in this machine. This machine has some other issues. Pointing to the 10.0.0/16 to the server IP. Oh, so it's like you port forwarded that. Okay, cool.
Amir, can you log into your ISP router?
Oops, I need to check out my password for that. Then I have to dig it out.
Okay, then that's fine. That's fine. If Milab can send some screenshots, that will be appreciated.
Yeah, Milab, can you send us screenshots of this? Oh, well, if you want to. Alright guys, so I'll just pause the video here.